What's up, everybody? It's Jason Wojo. Welcome to the Lifeonaire Show, where we help you create a life and business you love, make more, work less, and create a vision for your life. And I can't wait to get into today's episode. I am joined by my co-host, Polish Peter. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. How are you?
Good. How you been?
Great, man. I'm thinking about going buy myself a cowboy boots. And,
me too. Me too. So, and so I got to tell you, so Jeffrey Hayzlett is this episode's interviewee. We're the interviewers. And so Jeffrey is a guy, as you'll hear in the interview, he is, man, I'll tell you, he's a rock star. Like he just has this go get it done attitude that is just, uncompromising, and he just makes things happen, and he has this incredible bio of things he's accomplished and he continues to accomplish. And I can't wait for our listeners to learn a little bit about like kind of how he thinks and what he is all about.
Yeah, it was such a big privilege to actually interview him on this particular podcast, because if you just look at his bio, I mean, you can write the book just on the bio. That's how much the guy has accomplished, right? And so as you guys are listening to this podcast, I want you to really think about how much similar, how not different he is than the regular other human beings, and what makes him actually go and accomplish those things and make things happen and all that kind of stuff. Because if you really think about it, one big point that he makes on this episode, that we're not that much different.
Yeah,
how he looks at people, how he looks at the relationship, how he looks at business, how he looks at going after different things. It's such a simple things, and I think most of the time we complicate things to going and making things happen. So I'm excited about this episode.
Let's check it out right now. Here we go. Jeffrey Hayzlett, the Lifeonaire Show. Hey, Jeffrey, thanks for joining us on the Lifeonaire Show, man. It is an honor to have you.
It's good to be here. Thanks so much.
Man, I'll tell you. So for our listeners who don't know you, I had the distinct privilege of hearing you speak at an NSA Carolinas chapter meeting about a year ago. And the thing that struck me, and listen, we have people come in there all the time, as you know, right? And a lot of these people are excellent. They're outstanding. You stood, in my mind, head and shoulders above almost everyone I had seen there, because you just had something that I've never seen to such an extent. And as you were talking about the things you've accomplished, you started off telling us a little bit about yourself, how you've bought and sold over 250 businesses. You were the CMO of Eastman Kodak, which, by the way, your budget back then was like $17 billion that you're responsible for allocating, right? You're a guest judge on Celebrity Apprentice with Trump. You had this TV show on Bloomberg Business. You have C-Suite. You're on the board of DocuSign. Like you share offices with Damon John. You have 4 books that are bestsellers. Like, and as you're telling me that, I'm like, is this guy human? Like, what in the world? Like, I've never
It's the cowboy boots, man. It's nothing but cowboy boots. You wear cowboy boots, you walk with some swagger. That's the name of the deal.
Okay,
that's what I was missing this whole time. All right. I guess we're done with the interview.
This is the shortest episode ever.
Yeah. Boom. Mic drop. We're done. Right, and we're out.
Man, and so like as I'm hearing you speak, I'm like, I need to, we're doing the Lifeonaire Show podcast now. And the thing that struck me is like, I want to get inside this guy's brain and see how it works. How has he managed to accomplish these so many different things? And I know that some of them are complementary, but there must be some guiding principles or mindset or something that you've learned along the path that has differentiated yourself from so many others that have not reached the same level of success. And like, I was just wondering if you've ever given that some thought, or if you've ever been actively aware of how you do things differently than most people, and clearly the results you've gotten as a result have been different from most people's results.
Yeah, just do it. I don't know of any other thing other than just do it, or don't know that you can't. I'm from South Dakota, where mostly it's a flyover state for most people. But there are more people in the stands of the Indianapolis 500 than there are in our entire state of South Dakota. So for me, it's really about just getting it done. I mean, I don't know that you can't do it, so I just do it. So, I mean, what's the deal? I treat everybody the same. It's like, Trump or Celebrity Apprentice. I was on Celebrity Apprentice for years. And so how we got that show was we were sitting around a room, and we were talking about how to promote our products while we wanted to do it. And I said, well, why don't we, put it on Apprentice? And someone said, well, how do we do that? And I said, well, call Trump. And they go, what do you mean call Trump? I said, call Trump. And they go, we can't call Trump. Bullshit. So I grabbed the phone, and I just dialed information, asked for Donald Trump. They said, well, we don't have a Donald Trump, but we have a Trump organization. Give me that number. They gave me the number. I called it. I said, can I speak to Donald Trump, please? They said, I can't speak to him, but you can talk to his assistant. Say, great, put me to assistant. What's her name? Rona gets on the phone. Rona, Jeffrey Hayzlett, I'm the chief marketing officer of Eastman Kodak. I'd like to speak to Mr. Trump. He's not available. I said, oh, totally get it. Understand. Tell him that I got $2 million to spend with him in the next 30 minutes. If he calls me back in the next 30 minutes, I'd like to spend it with him. If he doesn't call me back in 30 minutes, and I mean this, Rona, doesn't call me back in 30 minutes, don't give him the message. Don't have him call me. Not interested. Okay. And I said, you got 28 minutes left. And so 15 minutes later, phone rings, Donald Trump. That's how I got a hold of him. That's how the first time I met with him. And then I said, hey, look, we'd love to, take our Kodak printers, put them on the show and do some kind of task with you. And, of course, promotion, product integration, a whole bit. And he goes, well, we're not doing the show. Ah, man, that's terrible. So then we got to talking. Well, then, being Trump, who he is, tried to convince me to spend money on his golf resorts, which, cool. You got to expect that. That's cool. Could he be a spokesman for Kodak? Hey, listen, Trump, no offense, but I told him, I said, you're not my target audience. You're not my avatar for the chief memory officer. But then I did say, hey, boy, this would be cool if you did this celebrity show or something like that, where, you had sports people, stuff like that would come on. I said, that would have been cool. And he goes, that's a great idea. Would you tell Mark Burnett that? I said, sure, but I don't know Mark Burnett. Mark Burnett's the producer. He owned the show. Mark really owned the show, even though Trump had some interest in it. And he said, well, here's his cell phone number. And I called him. It was like 9:30 in the morning, East Coast time. I woke him up, got his cell phone, woke him up. And, 2 months later, we're doing the show. So, it's just a matter of, like, I treat everybody the same, Jason. I am who I am. I don't treat I treat people with respect to their positions, respect to them as human beings. I give everybody the same kind of thing. If you're my same age as me, I call you brother. If you're the age of my parents, I call you pop or dad, or or grandfather, grandmother, aunt, uncle, auntie, uncle. I do those kind of things. That's just how I was brought up with in the way in which I do it. So yeah, I don't know, why not.
Well, and so
what's the worst they're going to tell you? No.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. A lot of people are freaked out about it, right? I mean, what's the worst thing?
Well, and so do I fail? Freaking all the time, every day. People, one of the questions you might ask me, what's my biggest mistake? I don't know. I haven't done it yet. I haven't made it big. I mean, I've made mistakes, but what's my biggest? I don't know. I'm going to make a bigger one. Trust me. They're coming, I have that all the time, but what I just try to do is just put one foot in front of the other. And so what if they say no? No one died. So what if I make a mistake? No one died. So learn from it and move on. I make mistakes every freaking day.
Is that what drives you?
What drives me? There's three things. It's a great question, Peter. I have what I call conditions of satisfaction. I think we should all have those. What is it that drives you? What are the things that you like? Well, I like to do new things, learn new things. I like to learn. I like to do things that are fun, and I like to make money, because that's how we keep score. So, the money lets you buy the tractor at home, lets you buy the new barn, lets you buy the things that you want to have. And so, that's, or the legacy that you want to live to change, in terms of change things or do things differently, or you're not beholden to as many people if you have the cash, right? It doesn't mean you're still not beholden. You're beholden because there's rules, there's regulations, there's life, there's norms, there's ways that we should do things. But you don't have to be an asshole. You can have money and still do good things. And how much money do you really need when you're all said and done? Right now we're learning that with COVID, right? We're all getting back to a simpler life, an easier life, a better life, quite frankly, for most of us with our families, and I think there's some good things that come out of this stuff.
Right. And so along those lines, how have you pivoted? And what are some of the changes that you've made in your own businesses to accompany the new environment that's taking place?
Yeah, well, we've had to. We used to do a lot. We used to do hundreds of meetings face to face. Can't do that anymore. So we had to move them all online, and we had to change them in a different way. And of course, wow, actually, it turned out to be better. We get more people, more activity, more engagement than we've ever had before. So that's good. So on March 14th, I just called the team and said, look, and I got on the phone, a video call with all of our members, a lot of members, thousands of members during the month of March. And I just said, look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I can't even sew a frickin' mask. I don't know what to do about that stuff. But what I do know, I'm a business first responder. I can help people. And we're going to help people. And we're not going to sit back on a couch and worry about, I didn't make my United 1K or global. I'm not going to hit my titanium and Marriott this year because I can't travel. I'm not going to whine and cry. Yeah, would I like a hug? Sure, give me a hug when you get a time. But right now, this isn't about surviving. It's about driving and thriving. It's about changing. And so the attitude is, how can I turn this into an opportunity? Rather than look at it in bad. I mean, it's, in my opinion, it's what good people do. It's what good managers, good leaders do. You look at something and you say, look, yeah, this sucks. Jeez, my God, does it suck? It's who would have ever envisioned that who would wish this on anyone, right? Period. I don't care. Even your worst enemy, I wouldn't want to see go through the crap we've had to go through, period. All right. Because it's just not good for anyone. But I'm looking at it. Well, I'm going to go cry about it. I can't cry about it. Okay. I'd like to some days. There's some days, quite frankly, it just, like I said, it sucks, right? But, you got to get the work done. You got to get it done. You got to pay the bills. So, we've been able to make it work, and it's not been easy. It's never been easy. We didn't get a PPP loan. I didn't get the EIDL. I didn't get any of that stuff for some reasons, not obvious reasons, but for some reasons, and for some decisions, because I don't want to be beholden to other people on certain kinds of things. I don't need people looking in my, behind the wall, so to speak. So I don't care for a lot of that stuff. I'm a little bit more independent. Maybe that's that South Dakotan coming through. Just leave me alone and let me get my stuff done. But yeah. So you just do it. You do it. That's what you have to do.
I'll tell you, man. So it sounds easy coming from you, and I think it obviously that's the bottom line. I wonder what holds up most people from doing that. And the other thing I've noticed about you in particular is, especially when COVID started, I started seeing your posts, and you may have made it in other places as well, but on Facebook about, hey, I'm going to share with you guys like what some things that might help your business and how to pivot. And you've kind of made a little bit of your brand is, I don't know if you realize this or not, probably, I'm sure it's intentional, but of helping other people. Like you have the Hero Club.
That's always my brand. Yeah. That's always, if you help people, if you give, you'll get. So I give. And, it's just like a lot of speakers, Jason, they'll say, I don't want you to share my video of my speech. You can tape it, but you can't put it out there. I'm going like, are you kidding me? Put it out there to everybody. Let everybody see it. I've never had someone see me on YouTube or on some video online and go, I don't want to hire you. It's the opposite of that. And because it's the same speech or whatever. And so, today I'm still doing those things. But yeah, if you help people, and I said right away, in fact, I'll show you the notes. I'm going to get these because I want you to see it. And they're over here. I wrote them. This is it. These are the first notes that I wrote around March the 5th. This is what we're going to do. We're going to keep customers engaged. We're going to keep employees focused. We're going to keep cash flowing. We're going to keep continuity. And the last but not least, I put keep safe. And that's my notes that I said, this is our plan. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. It's been sitting over there ever since that day. And that became my speech, my mantra of being a business first responder, because that's what I need to do. And this became, a keynote that I do for an hour now, right here. That's what I can do. I can do it like right this minute. And it was all about saying, what do we got to do? And in helping other people, because if you have a gift of keeping people's heads on straight, of motivating, inspiring, and providing some education, and also helping them show a way for monetization, then give that gift. And then say, hey, what can I do to help you? And that's usually how I start every call. If we were getting on a call today and we scheduled something, my first question was to say, how can I help you? Mm-hmm. That's the way I was learned. That's what you do. It should be a servant mentality. I have always had a servant mentality. Whether you're a waiter, whether you're a preacher, whether you're a janitor, we're all good servants. So let's go be good servants. And if you're a good servant, it will come back to you. Okay. It will come back to you. maybe not immediately, maybe not, and my team sometimes gets mad at me because they say, I take every call, I respond to every email, I try to get to every social post that's out there that somebody makes. It's tough because of the sheer volume that we have, but yeah, it's what you do. It's what you do.
Right.
I love that because, one of the things that I hear from that as you're sharing this is you don't have any expectations of whether it's going to come back to you or not as you're sharing, do you? Yeah, you're just sharing it out there, right?
Yeah. You shouldn't. If I'm giving it, that's the gift, right? If I can give that, it just makes me feel better. And if we can make something now, look, let's be clear, here's my email address, here's the C-Suite network. And we have people come to our conference, come to our events. And so let's say you come one time, great, you're my guest. Come second time, love you. Come third time, you should bring a hot dish. Okay. You should bring something. All right. You're coming to it's like you're coming to my house. You come to my house for dinner the first time, love it. Come the second time, hey, I might be thinking the third pork chop that you've taken, maybe, hey, did you, next time you better bring some frickin' buns or a hot dish, because that's the way it should be. So I say, if I give, you should give. And so I'm going to ask you to give. And so that's one of the big things when people come into our C-Suite network is we get together, we have a meeting every single Friday and hundreds of people come. And it's all about it's a celebration mixer. That's what it is. It's a time to pause from where you bring water to wine to whiskey, come cocktail party, and then give something. You put it in the chat. Tell them you're going to give them a 2-hour course. Tell them you're going to give them a book. Tell them you're going to give them a consultation. Tell them you're going to give them advice on, if you're a maker of widgets. Tell them how you're going to help them with widgets, or whatever it might be. Whatever you do, that's what we like to do. And then if you can do that, you can connect people and, because truly about a community, and that's what's really cool about the C-Suite network is, first of all, we vet everybody to make sure that they, are VP or higher, because that's what you have to be in our group. And then it's really about, your gifts that you have to give. And it's about, are we relevant for each other? Yeah. Okay. So we vetted you're relevant. And then it's about reach and reciprocity. That's I call it the 3 R's: relevancy, reach, and reciprocity. And so that's what we all try to do. If we're working with, Jason, with you and Peter, let's imagine, get you on our network. You're part of the C-Suite Radio Network, your podcast is part of our podcast network. Well, then it's about, we're relevant. You got a great show, got good content. We're good, we're good for each other. We got an audience. Then it's about that reach. I got a huge audience. How can I help you with that? And then it's about reciprocity. We get more ads, we get better guests, we get, more listeners. all that stuff becomes a great thing.
So, man, I'll tell you what's striking me as you're speaking is really I'm thinking of like a triangle here for you, and correct me if this is inaccurate, but number one, treating everyone the same, meaning whether they're higher or below you. And so you're not intimidated to approach somebody who someone else may think, oh my God, they may be starstruck. You're just like, they're a regular person, just like me. And similarly, you're going to treat people below you in, quote unquote status the same as someone above you, combining that with the desire to help, to give, to serve, and then some creativity around that to hey, what's the best, how can we do this? How can we work together? How can I help you? What does this look like as us doing something together? That's a really powerful combination that I could see how it could have incredible effects in your business and in your life as well.
Well, it's a real multiplier effect. And you asked earlier, why do people stop? And I was thinking about treating people all the same, even celebrities. I was with a group of celebrities out in LA one time, talking to them about how to build personal brands, because we built a multi-million-dollar network around me, utilizing me. We created, we went out with the intent of, he's a global business celebrity, because someone once called me a global business celebrity. It was on I think it was Forbes or Fortune. I think Forbes magazine cover that they said, they called me a celebrity CMO. And then that got taken into global business celebrity because of where I would be on red carpets and doing all the stuff I was doing back with Kodak, which then led me to the TV shows and so forth. So we took that and said, look, we're going to build that up as a brand and utilize that to go take our message and create this network called the C-Suite Network, and to be able to do that. That's why we started with that. And then we create all things C-Suite. So now we have C-Suite Radio, C-Suite TV, C-Suite Book Club, C-Suite Network, C-Suite Councils, which are all these masterminds and peer groups memberships that are part of our group. So it's, many thousands of members. Over 350,000 members have opted in. And so it's a great community. But I was with a group of celebrities talking to them about how to monetize you so that you're making money while you're not on stage. You're making money, not trading. Most people trade time for money. Okay. Mm-hmm. And how do you move beyond trading time for money? That's the real wealth building systems that you can build. And so someone said, well, Jeff, what do you do when you hear those little voices? And I said, what voices? And they said, those little voices in your head that tell you can't do it. I said, I stopped listening to those voices a long time ago. I mean, they pop up all the time. Don't get me wrong. All right. I hear them. They were trying to talk to me last night about something. And I just say, shut up. I'm not listening to you. And I go find other voices that are better. And that's what you have to do. You have to make a conscious choice. You can live in the darkness or live in the light. And you can live with, bad things. You can live with good. You can live healthy or you can live unhealthy. It's like all those are choices, And even with, I know it's not easy for people with addictions and problems and so forth, but that you do have free will and you can choose. And I think those are important things for us to do. And I just choose to do it that way. It's like, we had a meeting yesterday of our team, and I said, I had a speaker come in and talk about being gracious, how we should handle everything with graciousness, like being gracious, even when you're bad news. Be gracious, like if I've been fired or whatever, I can still be gracious, right? It's not about me. It's not about that just didn't work out, so I can still thank you for the opportunity and then move on. I get fired from clients all the time, members quit, whatever. But the key thing is to be able to make a choice. And I said to the team yesterday, I choose to only work with people who want to be gracious, which means they value my time, value my expertise, value me as a person, and vice versa. And if you come to our company with drama, you're not staying. You're not staying. Right. Or if you're a customer that's like, if you're a pain, like I have a thing that in the C-suite radio where we have new hosts come in and, it's worth a lot of, being in podcast right now is a very rewarding career, not only just listeners to people, the thing you get, but you can make money with it. And there's a potential of a payoff. Right now, podcast networks are trading at 100 times money. So when I bring in new show hosts like yourself or others, then I say to the host, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to set aside phantom shares for you. I'm not going to give you a piece of the company, but I promise that if I ever sell the company, I will reward you because you helped me get there. That's a fair thing to do. I'm not going to give you a piece of my company, but I'll reward you. I will set aside a percentage, and I tell them exactly what the percentage is, and I will give it back to you based on your number of downloads, how long you've been with us, and your asshole factor. And I put that in the letter. And if you're an asshole, if you're a drama queen, then I'm not freaking giving you. I'll give you a little bit of money because you're there, but you ain't going to get what everybody else got because of the factor that you're not being gracious. You're not being, you're not respecting everyone. And just like you should, you fire people in your company, you can also fire customers, right? So the customers aren't always right,
Right. Well, I'm curious, to go back for a moment and tie it into what you just said. You mentioned making decisions, and you have voices that are saying one thing versus another thing. How did you learn to do that? And do you have any ideas or tips or suggestions for people that are struggling with those voices, or they're intimidated to make a decision, or they're having a problem being gracious? How did you, is it being around the right people? Is it like, how do you nurture that?
It's the cowboy boots, man.
That's a cowboy boots.
Yeah, the cowboy boots. You got to get the cowboy boots first. Now, but by the way, thanks for all this. You put the quarter in, you get to go for the full ride here. So we're having some fun. I'm just like going. It's like one time Henry Kissinger said at a press conference, "What questions do you have for my answers?" But in this case, it's a lot of fun to be able to just go. I got a good support system around me. There are days when I get up, I'm cranky, I'm not good, but I got a wife who's just unbelievable, who's a saint. I know me, I wouldn't be married to me, right? And so, in this case, she is, and so we all have these counterbalances. And so what you should do is surround yourself with people who can support you and assist you and help you and be a part of what you are, and to help you shine, and then you help them shine, and so forth. And so you want to focus in on that as much as possible. Yeah, if you surround yourself with a bunch of a-holes, what are you going to become?
Yep.
An a-hole. I mean, there's no doubt you'll be there, and you might be the best one, because you're good at what you do. The other thing you have to do is to surround yourself with good people. Second thing is get really clear about where you want to go. And by the way, I don't always know where I'm going. I'm flying the plane and building it at the same time, all the time. Okay. But I know I like to fly. So, I like to fly well. And so that means I'm building my businesses as I'm flying them. There's no doubt. And I understand, but again, I'm not going to crash the plane. I know that from my experience. But it's going to get bumpy. I might have to throw some dead weight off the plane. I might have to refuel. I might have to retool the engines. I might have to change directions, all those things. And that's okay. That's okay. Right. And the other thing is decided at some point, hey, I can do this. The realization that, look, I'm from South Dakota, for God's sakes. I mean, I'm from a state that most people fly over, and who've never visited. And, one day I was doing all this stuff in South Dakota, and I'm looking around, I'm going, I'm pretty big. And then I realized I could do this in Iowa, which I can see from my house, by the way. And then I realized, I could do this in Chicago. I could do this in London. I could do this everywhere. And so I finally figured out what's the difference between a business in Main Street of Sioux Falls, South Dakota versus Wall Street. Nothing. Zeros. Same frickin' people. Same people. Same kinds of people. What makes you and I any different? Really, it's our experiences and all that stuff, but it's the decision of saying, no, I'm doing it. I mean, it's amazing. I was talking to a leader of a multi-billion-dollar business the other day on my radio show, the All Business, or podcast show, and we were talking about Warren Buffett. What a great guy. What a smart guy. What a rich guy. What sets him apart? He's from Omaha. It's not like he went to Yale or Harvard or had all these things or came from a rich family. He still lives in the same, bungalow house that he's had for 30, 40 years. I mean, I saw him in New York one day many months ago, and he was hailing a cab. Warren Buffett, he can afford his own limo. Okay. So it's those kinds of things. It just amazes me.
Yeah, he can afford his own spaceship to take him from one place to another. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he flies commercial anymore, but he certainly could fly first class. But I'm sure he's probably got his own jet.
Listen, I mean, I love that what you just said about, just do it and believing in yourself. Like, I mean, I can do it. I mean, I talk to my students all the time and say, listen, if a Polak can do it, because I'm originally from Poland, man, if a Polak can do it, man, anybody can do it, right?
Yeah. So, well, if a cowboy can do it, anybody can do it. There you go. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. But, one thing that I heard from what you just shared is, the way you are presenting yourself, like, with the voice and all that kind of stuff, I was talking to every now listening to it, it gives you the power, right? You own it. It gives you the power to actually listen, I'm going to go after this and I'm going to build a plan while I'm going after this, right? But you don't let those, decisions or people, even different people, there's a lot of different people who said you probably couldn't do it, right?
Oh, totally. There's people on my own team that say I can't do things sometimes. And I prove them I'm going to, which is probably not the smartest thing to do, because you should be more cooperative in terms of your approach as opposed to over the top. And I by the way, we talked about that yesterday, because in my nature, in fact, there's a chart that's on my thing that we downloaded yesterday. My nature is to be competitive. My nature is to either win you over or crush you. I mean, that's the first thing that's in my head. It's hard to get out of my head. Either I'm going to seduce you or I'm going to overpower you, which is one of the two. And I should be more collaborating. So so I have to work on training myself to go there, because my first nature is, you ask me something, no, let's don't go. Like, my wife will say, like a good example, like, hey honey, where do you want to go for dinner? T Steakhouse. And she goes, you didn't even think about it. Yeah, I did. I thought about it. I thought about like 30,000 things went through my head before I said that. T Steakhouse. Well, no, we're not going to T Steakhouse. You can't go to T. I want to go to T Steakhouse. And she goes, no, but you didn't think about all these others. Whereas I should have been more collaborative. I should have said, well, honey, where would you like to go?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we would have gone through a lot of places, a lot of foo-foo places that I don't want to go. And then I would have worked very hard to collaborate with her and to get to the T Steakhouse.
T Steakhouse, yeah. That's
Man,
right. Love
dude, I'll tell you. So one thing that struck me too is you're talking about this analogy, a metaphor of building your plane, and I see you taking off. You took off in what I feel like, let's just use whatever, a Cessna. But mid-flight, You're like, you know what? This isn't doing it. I need to build. I need to build a King Air or a G6.
I need a citation. Yeah.
And so. But here's the interesting thing: is not so you have a special gift, I think, for leveraging what you're already doing to move things to the next level. And usually, it's a build off of what you've already been doing. So it seems from an outsider's perspective, you're like, okay, here's what I have, here's what I want. How am I going to get there? And you just like I picture your businesses just have like stacked and stacked and stacked, so that you have all these different. You've built this kind of like structure that has continually expanded. And what I'm guessing is that each step of that build out, many people I think would have been like, hey, you know what? That's good enough. I'm going to stay here for a while. Not you. You're like, what's next?
Because again, it gets back to those conditions of satisfaction. I want to keep learning. Now, I try to begin with the end in mind. So, here's the journey from here to point B, right? Now, what happens is it's squiggly in between. It's never straight, right? You've seen that chart.
Yep.
And then what I actually figure out is once I get to B, there's C, D, and E. So I try to think about what that looks like, so, all the way through. So you can imagine all of the IP that I built, hundreds of IP where I own C-Suite Connect, C-Suite SEO, C-Suite this, C-Suite this, C-Suite this, businessfirstresponders.com, things. All of these things that we start looking at in terms of what would we want to do? How would we want to do it? And all that stuff gets played out in my mind. So I do work that way. And that comes from a lot of experience, in terms of having bought and sold 250 business, 25 billion in transactions and so forth. And also that's just the way my mind works, and it works very quickly like that. So, and I do have a sense of that. And so when I'm working with others or consulting with folks, which I do from time to time, or on a board, I tend to think strategically. And I think that's what most leaders need to be doing. A lot of us like to think very tactically or implement tactically. I try to think strategically and also implement strategically. And then I have a great team that does the tactics and I can do the tactics, man. I can clean a toilet. I can, scrub the bathrooms, but is that the best use of my time? Well, some days it is. Maybe it's to set an example for everybody. Hey, we should have clean toilets, or you should really clean up after yourself, and besides, I like a clean bathroom in an office anyway, but then nonetheless, a side note. But it also shows people, by the way, when you do stuff like that, that there's no job beneath you. Right. That if I can do this as the CEO, as the chairman of the company, then don't tell me you can't do this. If I understand Salesforce in a way, and I'm able to say, someone says, well, I don't have time to enter those ops. Excuse me? What did you just say? I enter ops. I enter them all the time. In fact, let's go pull up Salesforce and see who spends more time on Salesforce. Who's logged in more than anyone? Well, I will beat everybody, because I'm constantly in doing things and moving things and so forth, again, leading by example. But at the same time, I'm trying to think through what are the things I can look at and do that will make the sales team more effective. So what can we automate in Salesforce, or what can we automate through processes or whatever to be able to be a lot more efficient,
Got it.
Right. I think that allows you to be a lot more strategic by doing that, right? Because some CEOs, they're like the figurehead at the top of the company, and they don't look anything below, right? They just talk to 2-3 people, and that's about it, right?
Yeah, but that's a bad thing because, like when I was at Kodak, I would make the executives take customer service calls, for instance. The C-level executives would have to take customer service calls because I want you to see what it's like when we build products that don't work, right? Or have issues or concerns. Let's see what the rest of it. How about, when I was a chief marketing officer at Kodak and we were selling inkjet printers, I would go to Best Buy and put on a blue shirt, and I would work on the floor as an employee of Best Buy to see what customers asked for about printers and about what they wanted. What were the key questions? Because I didn't want to just hear it from my 7,500 plus marketing team, that were working for me. I wanted to feel it, touch it, and understand it. And I think great leaders do that. I think they get down in the mud, they get down in the dirt, they shovel the stuff. And I think that's important for people to do that. Again, like at the C-Suite Network, my job isn't to make you the smartest person in the room. I can't do that. But I can make you the most strategic person in the room. So we can get into the education, motivation, inspiration, and also the monetization of the things that you need to put in place so that you can get where you want to go. And then what are the systems and processes and methods to be able to do that? And then how do you stay, motivated to be able to get that done? And then, how to finance it, how to do all the other things that you have to have.
Got it.
Awesome. I love that.
I'll tell you, Jeff, I know you're tight in time, and I want to wrap this up, but I really, this has been, I could just ask you questions and poke.
We'll come back. We'll do a series. Let's do a series. I'll come back.
But I do want to make sure we let people know where to find out more about you, what you're doing, the incredible things that are going on with the C-Suite Network, the Hero Club. What give us some places that people can learn more.
You bet. For those who are watching, you can see me at Jeff at csuitenetwork.com, c-suitenetwork.com. But you can reach out at C-Suite Network or Hayzlett.com. I've also got a public page, private page there that you can see me. But anything with C-Suite Network, you just email us. It'll come to me and I'll get on it. But Jeff at c-suite, S-U-I-T-E network.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
I got one quick question. I'm sorry.
Sure.
What's the next big thing for Jeff?
I do them every single day, but I don't want to announce everything. But, we've got a lot of going on at the C-Suite Network. We're really putting a lot of effort around our C-Suite Radio, which is our podcast network right now, because we have so much reach. We're growing basically a new podcast show every other day. We're growing 40% a month. It's phenomenal, the growth that we're seeing. And then what we can do in terms of helping people with peer-to-peer councils inside the C-Suite Network. So once you get in, you become an executive member, then we're expanding out. So we've got our manufacturers council, our women's leadership council. We've got CIO council, cybersecurity, everything you can think of to come and get involved. We just want to get people in the network. And once you're in the network, we go figure out how we can help.
Love it. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Dude, man, I told you this guy's like he's a go-getter. I'll tell you that. From his CMO position at Eastman Kodak to C-Suite Network, this guy is he's a hustler, man. He just has this way of I think of it just gaining momentum and building this huge snowball that he's managed to kind of create multiple spin-off businesses, multiple opportunities. He has an awesome attitude of helping people, of leveraging relationships, of giving, of just growing. It's just been what a cool mindset and outlook.
Yeah, and as I was listening to his podcast, the stories that he shared, even like with Burnett and Trump and all that kind of stuff, the conversation, right? Going after taking action, making a phone call and all that kind of stuff, right? It tells you what kind of a guy he is, as he's strategic, but at the same time, he doesn't look at like, okay, what's going to stop me? Right? That's not his mindset, I don't think. I think he goes and starts looking, okay, how can I get to that person? How can I do this? How can I do this? And he starts getting creative and start taking action on it.
Dude, he just does it, right? He's like, hey,
yeah.
Yeah, and he says he fails a lot, and it just seems like whatever, he fails, he doesn't care, he just pivots. He hits a roadblock, he hits a wall, he goes under it, he goes around it, he goes through it, he goes, and so he just does it. How many of us get stuck in our own minds and trying to think of the best strategy, what happens to this, what's my scenario XYZ, like my backup plan, like he's like, I'm just going to go for it. Like you said, I'm gonna build the plane as I'm flying it. And I think, man, there's a lot to be said for that. Like, we get in our own way, and he has somehow managed to kind of get rid of that filter that most of us have that prevents us from taking steps, and especially big steps. Like, to him, it seems like whether he's talking to Donald Trump or Mark Burnett or someone else, or he's talking to the janitor at his one of his office buildings, like, he talks to everyone the same. Like, he doesn't let that get in the way.
Well, he mentioned at the episode that he looks at everybody the same way, right?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that he does, he looks at the goals that he's putting for himself the same way. Not like, this goal is such a huge goal, how am I going to do that? He looks the same way at that goal as he looks at any other goal throughout the day, because that doesn't stop him from actually accomplishing, right? And he just like goes and does it. Now, some people, they're going to spend the next, a week or a year or 6 months or whatever planning this and this. And within a day, today, he's going to accomplish like 20 things already.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he just goes and does it. And I think the biggest takeaway from this particular episode is just do it.
Just do it.
Like the Nike says, just do it.
Right. Well, the other thing that I thought of as he was talking is, like, I've heard it said before, there's three kinds of people: people that watch things happen, people that wonder what happened, and people that make things happen. And he's just a guy that makes things happen. And so that's why I wanted to get him on the show, man, just to share some of that mindset. He's just kind of like this maverick guy out there making things happen. And if I'm sure he's human, right? So I'm sure he has fears, and he mentioned he has these other voices, but he just he makes a decision not to listen to those. Like, we all have the decision. We all have those voices, right? He chooses which ones to listen to and which ones to take action on. So I hope everyone benefited from that. It was really fun to talk with him. And so maybe we'll see him back here on a future episode of the Lifeonaire show. And so with that, if you enjoyed this episode, we would love for you to leave us a review. We want to hear your thoughts on the show. And so you can do that wherever you listen to podcasts. Otherwise, if you want to get involved with the Lifeonaire community, with the Lifeonaire messaging and the people that are living this Lifeonaire way of existing in their businesses and in their lives, go over to the Lifeonaire app. It is free. You can download that for free, or get the desktop version over at lifeonaire.com, and just join in the conversation and be part of the discussions and ask questions and read what other people are doing in their lives and in their businesses, and apply it to your own life. Just like you're going to apply some of the things that Jeffrey spoke in today's episode to your life, do the same thing in the Lifeonaire app. It is a pleasure, it is an honor and a privilege to do this show with you guys, and thanks for listening. We will see you next week. Until then, live free.